We looked briefly at how to calculate the correlation coefficient by hand. Now we'll see if we can use the calculator to aid us in that process. We're still not just going to do the calculation using a linear regression model, but we will show you how to do this with an aid from the calculator. We'll use the same data set that we had before. So we're going to go back into stats and then edit. So in L1, I put the x values, which are 1, 2, 2, 4, and 5. In L2, those would be the y values. That's 1, 3, 2, 4, and 7. What we'd like to do now, before we do these calculations, we do have to calculate the x bar, y bar, and the two standard deviations for the s or the x and the y. So we'll do a 2 var stats. We're going to use L1 and L2. So once we run this calculation, it will store all of the information into our variables. Go back out of here. We'll go back into the stat mode, do edits. We're going to go to L3. Now L3, what we'd like to do is calculate the z-score for the x values. So I go to the very top of L3, and here we're going to enter our formula. So the formula is going to be the x sub i's, which are in L1. We're going to subtract x bar. So to find x bar, we go to the vars menu, click on the statistics, and you can see that x bar is right there, and it's 2.8. Click on that, we get x bar, close parentheses. We're going to divide by the standard deviation of the x's. We'll go back into the vars menu, back to statistics, and we can see that s sub x is 1.64 there. When I hit enter, it's going to populate all 5 columns with the z-scores. We're going to scroll to the right, go to L4, to the very top of L4. We're now going to do the y's. My y values are listed in L1, so we get L1. Don't forget to put in the opening parentheses. So we have L2, where the y values are stored, minus, we're going to subtract y bar, so that's in the vars menu, statistics, y bar is here, close the parentheses. We're going to divide by the standard deviation of the y's, so that's back in the statistics menu, s sub y is here. Now when we hit enter, we will get the z-scores for the y values. Now the next step in calculating the correlation coefficient is to multiply the x and y z-scores together. So we'll scroll over to L5, go up to the top. The z-scores for the x's are in L3, the z-scores for the y's are in L4. So now we just need to take L3 and multiply it by L4. That will populate L5 with the product of those. So now we're done. We just have to add all of the product of the x scores and the z scores together, and then ultimately divide that by n minus 1. So to do that, we will exit out of this screen. We'll go back to the home screen. Now what we need is to add up all of my products that are in L5. So to do that, we are going to go to list. So second stat will take me to the list. Then you scroll over to math. And number 5 on math is to create a sum. What we want to add up are all of the values in L5. So we do that. And then finally, we are going to divide by n minus 1. We had 5 pieces of data here. You can see just above here, n is 5. So 5 minus 1 is 4. We're going to divide by 4. And we get 0.9516619.029, which is our approximate correlation coefficient, also known as R.